Welcome to Author Feast, the show where we talk to writers about the publishing industry. Today, I'm talking to Linda Radke, author of The Economical Guide to Self-Publishing. She's been producing and marketing books for over 25 years now, and she has a lot of experience and advice on how authors should promote and market their own work. So what originally interested you in writing in general? Was this something you were always intrigued by as a girl, or what?
I actually wasn't. Outside of as a child loving to read comic books, and that's where I would spend my 5, 10 cents, and 25 cents allowance. I actually am a former teacher, and at some point along the line, when I quit teaching, I started a household employment agency, and in the process, I ended up writing a couple of books on how to hire household help. And this was way back in the late 70s, early 80s. And in the process, I got hooked on publishing and marketing. And so that's what started my venture in publishing, and that all started in 1985.
Okay, yes, I saw that you had written several books. At least that book about hiring nannies and household people, and then also cooking, right? Later on.
You know, you're good. You've done your homework because this goes way back to my beginnings in publishing. I started out by actually doing a domestic screening kit on how to hire household help. That's when I owned the household employment agency. Then I did an options directory of child and senior care services to have as a benefit for companies who have needs for their employees for childcare, housekeeping, senior care, etc.
Okay.
And in the process, I found that when I was trying to help myself market and promote the book, I found that most publishers back then didn't have a clue about how to help people market and promote a book. So I had to learn by trial and error. And then I was thinking, my mom is from Hungary, and I have my aunts, and even maybe some of my uncles, but especially my aunts, were incredible cooks, and I really wanted to save those incredible recipes. So I put together a cookbook called That Hungarian's in My Kitchen.
I saw that
And
too. My dad is from Hungary too. I don't know if you
you're
believe that.
kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
What a small world. Do you speak Hungarian?
No, he does, but
Nem?
I don't. No. Oh, no.
No, I don't either. I know just a few words, and I always thought that my aunts and uncles, my mom should have taught us Hungarian, but they didn't.
I'm in the same situation. But at least
That is
he
too
did some
hard.
cooking though. He still does Hungarian cooking.
You know, it's funny. Last night my cousin was in town with his 2 sons, and I made some chicken, and then I made some potato paprikash.
Oh yeah.
And my cousin Jeff was just kind of amazed. He goes, Linda, where did that come from? Because it's a Hungarian recipe. And I said, sure, it was my mom, my Aunt Ruth, my Aunt Ethel. And you know what? It's just one of those traditions.
So what's your mother's maiden name? I'm always curious in Hungarian names.
Weiss, Weiss.
Okay, okay.
And what is your last name?
It's Abaffe or Abaffe. They would. My
Okay.
grandfather says Abaffe, so that's I guess how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Okay.
Well, so now you're in marketing, and and I guess teaching people how to promote their work, which is great for our audience. That's really what they're interested in. How did you get into that? I think you talked a little bit about it, but
Yes, when I was struggling to figure out how to market and promote Nannies, Maids, and More, the complete guide for hiring household help, I tried different things because I was at that point in time, a lot of PR folks did not have the knowledge or to help someone promote a book. So as I was learning what worked and what didn't, I found that, maybe there are other folks in my position where they could use some help. So I thought I actually started a service called Publisher Support Services back in the 80s. And through that service, I helped them, you name it, and if it has to do with books, uh, and of course now I do some traditional publishing, a lot of partnership publishing, and we help some folks with self-publishing. but my philosophy is to do it right or not do it at all. I am also the author of 2 books that help folks with self-publishing. One is The Economical Guide to Self-Publishing, How to Produce and Market Your Book on a Budget, because I truly believe that you are able to self-publish, you are able to do it economically, but you need to know what to cut and what not to cut, because and how to save money, because what you ultimately could be paying for is distribution and marketing and reviews if you're not doing it right. Promote Like a Pro, small budget, big show really helps getting to that next level. And it's not just my expertise, but it's several other experts that contributed to this book, because to me it's all about the team. It's not just about me. It's not just about my company, 5 Star Publications, but it's all about the people that surround me. I have a team of about 25 professionals that really help get the job done right. And I think one of the most frustrating or the challenges that I see is that I always try to give people realistic expectations. And then I try to manage those realistic expectations, because I find that sometimes it's too personal and they're not able to remove themselves from their book and think of it as a business, but it is a business.
So how do you give them those expectations? Do you look at their work and you see, okay, this is saleable or this isn't?
One of the first things we do is we do an evaluation. We charge a fee for an evaluation, and I always say we're going to be painfully but diplomatically honest with you, and you're going to know who we are based on the evaluation we give you. Because the bottom line is we want to give each book a fighting chance. Mm-hmm. And if they're willing to listen to professional advice and work with the professional team, then it's a good match. And sometimes it's not always a good match, okay? But it doesn't. But one thing they learn is that we're going to be honest and upfront with them. And if it's not a good match for maybe a current project they're working on, they'll find that they can come back to us, and that we'll always be honest with them and give them realistic feedback.
Very nice. So, all right, looking back on working with authors, what do you notice? What are some of the mistakes that they make? Some of the most common ones that you are able to easily correct, that you might be able to help our audience out with just right now?
Editing, proofreading, the title of the book. Sometimes they're so set on the title of the book. And I say, if you don't want to listen to our team, then I ask you to do your own market research. Ask professionals. Ask a librarian. Ask someone at a bookstore. Don't just ask your family. Don't just ask your friends, because what are they going to say to you? They're most likely going to say what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what we think is best for your book and to give it a fighting chance. To me, the title of the book is crucial. A person needs to know what the book is about, not only by the title, but maybe if the title doesn't quite do it, then the subtitle should. And I have a team that, you know what, it's amazing. Sometimes when you really start to get into the manuscript, all of a sudden the title will happen. And it's happening right now for a project we're working on. And, you know, we started out with one title, and then all of a sudden, and I'm not always the person that comes up with the title or subtitle, but in this case I am, okay? And I think that is an important thing to learn. And I'll give you an example that goes back to my book, Nannies, Maids, and More. When I came out with that book, and we came up with several different titles, the advice that was given to me was that if somebody is going to a bookstore, they're talking to a librarian, and they're looking to hire someone, they're looking for a nanny, they're looking for a maid, they're looking for a housekeeper, and they don't happen to know who Linda Radke is, and they don't know that Linda Radke owned a domestic employment agency for 5 years, but the word nanny will get them, okay? So if Linda Radke doesn't get to them, the word nanny, maids will get to them. And it's true, and that's exactly what happened. And of course, when you're doing your meta tag words and your meta tag descriptions for your website promotion and for SEO, you'll find that it's very important to use those keywords. So use it, have it in your title. The other advice we give is not only a dynamic title, but a dynamic cover design. And I have folks who will come to me and they'll say, you know what, here's a picture, or I have a painting, and this is what I want to use on the cover. Or they've done it themselves, thinking it's so easy. There is a difference between taking an image and designing it on a cover, and then just putting the image, selecting a font. I think one of the common mistakes some independent publishers or self-publishers will do is they think it's really awesome to use 3 or 4 different font styles on the cover of the design. It's confusing. You don't want to do that. And again, these are some of the rules along the way.
I see. And it does seem to make sense to have a team of people who are used to working on this stuff. Did you self-publish all of your books, or did you go to a publishing house for any of them?
When I first started, because I had a household employment agency, one great reason for self-publishing is if you have a business, you can help folks beyond that business. To me, there's no better way than doing a book. When I did my own book, and when I did the domestic screening kit, I didn't even think to pursue a publisher because my book was focused on helping folks who could not afford my agency fee, and it was still allowing them to get help because I had people calling me all the time that needed help, but they couldn't afford my fee. So this was my way of A, helping them, B, getting word out about my agency, because when they read my book, they found out what a thorough job we do. And if you've ever tried to find household help on your own and you've survived, then you'll find that you sure don't want to do it again if you don't have to, okay? And it's just like we have resources for publishing. I've been doing this for 27 years, and it's amazing the folks who come to us. Well, if you're just getting started in publishing, or you're just getting started, for example, in finding household help, you want to come to someone who has those resources at their fingertips, and we sure do.
Wow. So let's talk about choosing to self-publish. Why would you pursue that instead of pursuing an agent and publisher and the old school path?
Let's talk about self-publishing and partnership publishing because those are 2 different things.
Okay.
And at least they are with 5-star publications. Self-publishing is going to allow you to make more money, to have more control, and to get things done, and hopefully, when I say a timely manner, as fast as you pursue it, okay? Your challenge is going to be in distribution. My advice is if you're going to self-publish, is to do it right. And for those who truly do not have a budget, but they want the knowledge, and again, this is a little self-promotion here, not only do I have the books, I'm available as a coach and a consultant, but I do a workshop.
Okay.
And that workshop is either one-on-one or it's with a group up to 15. And it's learning about the resources and how to do it right and how to get distribution. But when you're partnering with a company like 5-Star Publications, we do it all. We also handle national distribution. We also do ebooks. Mm-hmm. So the reality is, if you choose to self-publish, be prepared to be a publisher. Be prepared to have office hours. Be prepared to have all of the outlets for folks to come back to you. That if you're doing an interview and someone wants to find your book, make sure it's in a distribution channel before you start your publicity. I think that's one of the common mistakes a lot of authors make, and maybe business owners, is they want to start marketing and promoting before they have their distribution channel set up or before they have their marketing materials created. We will not start to market and promote a book. I like to have the cover design first. Well, first the title approved, the cover designed, a media kit, a website, and then a pre-order form. So then if someone like you contacts them and wants to interview them, and then they want to get a link to learning more about their book, or at least pre-ordering it, they've got those ducks in a row. Because there's nothing more frustrating than having a great book, having an audience, but then they're not able to find it.
Can you talk a little bit about the media kit? What do you put together in the media kit?
Yes. I think it's very important to have certain elements in a media kit. And if you go to some of our websites, our book websites, you'll see samples and consistency. You need, number one, you need a news release. Our recommendation is to keep it up to 400 words. That's another mistake some authors make. They do a 2-page news release. Does a member of the media have time to read 2 pages? No. You need to catch them with, well, hopefully within the headline copy, another crucial thing, and then you need to catch them in that first paragraph, okay? So there's your 1-page news release. You need an author bio sheet. You need your background, but it needs to be professional, and it needs to connect on why you're an author. Or how did you come up with your company name? If you visit 5starpublications.com, you'll see the history behind my company name. You then need to have 10, 15, 25, and 50 word descriptions about your book. Why? Let's say that there is a distributor, let's say there's a book reviewer, and they're saying, we want you to send us the following information, and it needs to include a 25-word description. They don't want 26 words. They don't want 50 words. They want 25. Well, guess what? You've got that all prepared, and you just need to go in, copy and paste it, and it's there. But when you're working on your marketing materials, it's crucial that you work with a professional editor and proofreader. Don't trust yourself, and don't trust one other person. So, okay, now you've got your news release, your author bio sheet, and your descriptions. Next, you need to have up to a dozen questions the member of the media would want to possibly ask you. Let's say that there's an opportunity for you to do a radio interview. We've had situations where members of the media contact us, and they say, Linda, I want to interview one of your authors. Because what's happened is we had an author cancel at the last minute. The show was going on in an hour and a half. Can you help me? Number one, of course, we don't have a chance to send them a book. Number two, they wouldn't have a chance to read it. But from going to our website, seeing a list of media questions, that gives the member of the media an opportunity to be better prepared to interview the author at the last minute. You're not guaranteed that the media member will ask you those questions, but if they do ask you some, you're semi-prepared for the interview. And I think the member of the media appreciates that as well. We also like to create writing and copy for a bookmark, for a postcard, for a flyer. And I'd like to touch a little bit upon a bookmark. You know, I'll tell you something. This past year, and I have some samples of some of our bookmarks, and if anybody wants me to send them some of our samples, I would be happy to do so. Our bookmarks plant seeds. And like, for example, we say book a school visit. We show a picture of the author. We show a picture of the author with the performance puppet that we created. And then in this case, we have information about other books on the back side. This past year, and we always ask, how did you hear about 5-Star Publications? I've had 4 to 6 bookings based on what? Our bookmark. I've had teachers, administrators, librarians contact us to say, I'd like to have one of your authors come to our school. And of course, there's a fee involved. And what's so exciting is when I say, how did you hear about us? One administrator said, Linda, I had a teacher who photocopied your bookmark and gave it to me. And I kind of chuckled because the teacher didn't want to give up our bookmark. So that's another thing. And another thing is we have bookmarks available. We try to at all of our events for our authors to hand out or our costume characters to hand out. We've had parents contact us. I had a cute story of a young boy. I think he was in kindergarten or first grade. We came out with Arizona Way Out West and Witty, which won One Book Arizona for Kids 2002.
Nice.
And we came up with a coloring book called Arizona Color Me Wacky. Well, our co-author, Conrad Storig and or Linda Exley, talked about it. And they said, if you want to get a book, you know, here's the information on our bookmark. This little 5 or 6-year-old called me, and he wanted a book. And I said, you know, let me know if your mom or your dad, are they home? He said, yes. I said, can I talk to your mom? I didn't want her to think that I was going and doing pitching because I don't do that. And it was so cute because how did that sale happen? A bookmark. In this case, I sent him a book. She says, I have a job now and I could buy a book. I says, when this year's young son called me, I says, he's going to get a book, Compliments of 5-Star. So once again, go figure. A bookmark. Wow. And you know, it takes time to do it right. And you want every piece that you create to entice, to inform, and to have a call for action, okay? And you know, a poster. We've had several authors do book events at Costco stores and at Sam's Club. And at Sam's Club and Costco, they have very, very strict rules when you indicate that the book's available through Costco or Sam's Club. The crucial thing, number one, you need their permission. They need to approve it. But in that case, it needs to indicate, like, for example, for Costco members only. And then what happens is we have a poster created, we just add the information. So instead of going back to the drawing board and all of a sudden scrambling, you don't want to be in a position where you're scrambling to create materials, because every piece that you create has your name on it, hopefully the name of your publisher, and you want everything to shine. And you want them to be impressed with the quality behind what you're doing. And basically, those are the basic items in our media kit. One other thing, when we put our media kits on our book websites, and I think it's really important to have special copy for your home page. And that's where you're going to focus on the meta tag words and the meta tag description, and you're going to want to make sure that those words are mentioned in the copy. Once again, it all has to do with marketing and promotion and getting the visibility that you're striving to get for your book.
Let's keep on this digital marketing tack. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you would recommend authors do with social media? And I know it scares a lot of people, or other sorts of online presence.
Okay, we'll talk about, so I'm happy to talk about social media and also electronic publishing, okay? I think you kind of mentioned two different things. Social media is awesome, and I have an incredible team that promotes social media through Facebook. I think it was Kathy who contacted you regarding 5-star publications, and it resulted in this interview. And thank you, by the way. And you know what? That was social media, okay? And our team, like I said, I'm very proud of our team. And you need to think through it. It's not just a matter of having that Facebook and having it connect to Twitter and vice versa. It's knowing what to do with it. We have done some really fun contests that build visibility, build awareness. We have an author right now coming out with a series called Burton the Kind Scarecrow. And it's an entire series, and it's great lessons for children to learn in a fun way. But I'll tell you something, a lot of people who try to do a Facebook page, they struggle with getting likes or friends. And we have found that one of the things that has been very successful for us is having some of these contests. And then you're building your audience. And then when the next book comes out in the series, guess what? You have part of that audience to let them know. You never, ever, ever want to abuse your leads or your list. And if you don't want to abuse it, we, number one, never sell, rent, or give out our list. That's number one. And we always have permission to send information. The other thing is, with doing ebooks, we have estarpublish.com. I think it is crucial, excuse me, when you're thinking of doing a book, you need to think about doing a printed book, and you need to be thinking about doing a book that's available through Kindle, through iBooks, through Sony, through Kobo, through Nook, etc. And what's happening with ebooks is the technology continues to change. And now you need to be working with a children's book in a fixed layout. The fixed layout allows you to look at the pages as if you were looking at the book. And you're finding that now there's a different format for the different versions. And it's very important. Whether you use a company like eStar Publish, that is a division of 5-star publications, or you're using another company, do your homework, do your research, check references, check with the Better Business Bureau. But it's crucial, because then, for example, Kindle allows you, if you give them exclusivity, I believe it's for 90 days, that they will allow you to give away free copies so many days each month, I think for the first 90 days. And that's if you want to give them that exclusivity.
Okay.
My recommendation is if you're on a tight budget, that you at least have an ebook with Kindle and with iBooks. And if your budget permits, then you expand it. But then that gives you something new to market and promote. And something else to consider is entering your books, both printed and electronically, in contests. 5-Star sponsors the Royal Dragonfly Book Awards and the Purple Dragonfly Book Awards. And it's actually, 5-Star authors are not eligible because it would be a conflict of interest. But the good news is anyone else who has a book, and it doesn't have, you don't have to just submit newly published books. The beauty is we're finding there's so many gems that were previously published that never received the recognition they so richly deserve. So you have that as an opportunity, and there are other places to submit your book for awards. Awards, what do they do for you, and can you take them to the bank? Maybe you can't take them to the bank, but it gives you an opportunity for greater visibility. Then you have a news release about it. You let your distributor know about it. Again, when you make a commitment to self-publish, to partnership publish, or to traditional publish, you should make a commitment to help market and promote your book, period, for a long period of time.
So you said you are realistic with authors when they come to you, and you tell them, you're straight up with them. If they have a good book, I know it's probably a crazy question, good book, and they follow all these rules and everything, is it possible to reach a huge audience, to do very well? Are there any examples of that, and what should they expect?
Say that last part of the question again, please.
Is it possible to reach a huge audience and do very well as self-published?
You know, the reality is sometimes, yes, you can reach a large audience. But another question is, are you going to be able to sell to them? And this is where we give very realistic expectation. If an author is unknown, we recommend trying to get endorsements from known folks, whether it be celebrities, whether it be experts in the field, to lend credibility to their name. I find that a lot of our authors, and we find that authors who are doing school visits and authors who are guest speakers and do workshops and seminars, they truly have a better chance at making more money in this business. Why? Because if they're getting paid a speaker's fee, if they're getting paid to do a school visit, selling books is icing on the cake, but it's not the cake. Okay? And then that pressure is removed from your shoulders on trying to just sell books as opposed to getting your message out there. So our more successful authors are authors who will go to an audience, who will speak, sell books at the event. And you know, I'll tell you something. I think that when you have a message, and it's not just about selling. Hopefully you're doing this more from just the thought of making money. My advice is not to give up your day job, because I truly have professionals, from doctors and lawyers and dentists and you name it, that they're ready to have a change in their life, and they want to do a book, and they're hoping that they could retire from their day job. But I say don't retire just yet.
Now, do you have any authors that you know that have retired? You know what I mean? Have done so well that they've...
Yes.
Okay.
One of our authors, I'll give an example. Conrad Storad, who is well known throughout Arizona and other states. Now, he happens to be an author of children's books, and we do more than children's books. He was working at ASU for many years, and he retired. I don't know if it's been about a year and a half, and I think I'm keeping him busier than ever. And he only thought he was going to retire. But again, it took years to build your audience. And once you build your audience, and let's say you're doing a school visit, the next year they want a new author to come out, or they want the same author with a new book. So having a new book come out is another reason for partnership publishing or self-publishing or traditional publishing. One of the benefits of partnership publishing is you do invest and you do take the financial risk, but you receive a much higher percentage of profits. With 5-star, depending on the package, it could be up to 50% net profit. So once again, there are different reasons for publishing, but if somebody is coming to me, one of the first things I talk about is, and realistically, don't expect to make a living on just doing books. And don't expect one person or one publisher to do it for you. I kind of always tease and say, not ask what you can do for your publisher, but what your publisher can do for you, but it's actually reversed. It's what you can do for your publisher, because it's a team effort. And if that team isn't there, we can't do it alone. You need a village to produce, promote, and market a book, and the author needs to be an active part of that village.
So if an author comes to you and already has some sort of platform or audience, then you guys rejoice, I guess.
You better believe it. And if they're a previously bestseller, that's another level of rejoicing. And and if they've self-published and then they come to us, they truly appreciate what we have to offer, because sometimes they think it's so easy. And one of the greatest compliments I received was, I had an author who self-published, who did her book. I saw the cover of the book and I just thought, I knew she needed a new cover, and we did a new cover design for her. And I happened to be at an event and she was there, and I happened to hear her say to someone, when you work with Linda Radke with 5-star publications, you not only get Linda, you get her whole team, because it is a team effort. And we make some of the best decisions as a team and not as individuals.
How has the world of publishing changed in the last 3 or 4 years? Or 10 years?
How has it changed in the last 3 or 4 months? I started publishing in 1985. And some of the biggest changes is the format, short-run printing versus printing on demand. I am not a fan of printing on demand, but I am a fan of short-run printing.
What's that?
To me, the options, you generally have greater options, and the quality seems to be slightly better with short-run printing. With short-run printing, you might print 100, 250 at a time versus onesies, twosies, and 5 at a time. If you're in this business for publishing and not just doing a book for your business, and you're not going to try to market and promote it, then printing on demand could be a wonderful solution. But if you have your sights set on the book world and marketing and promotion, consider short-run printing and consider, traditional offset printing. If you want to go with paperback, short-run is fine. If you want to go hardcover, dust jacket, then in my opinion, you need to look at traditional offset. And you're probably going to be looking at having a minimum of 1,500 to 2,500 books printed, because then, of course, your unit price is going down.
That's what traditional offset publishing is, 1,500, 2,000, yes. Something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm finding that more and more book manufacturers that have been offering traditional offset, they want to keep up with the industry. And so they're also starting to offer short run and printing on demand. And so, the printers need to come around in order for them to survive as well. And with electronic publishing taking over, it's another option. But if you're going to do an ebook, do it right, meaning make it fun. We're creating an app now for Arizona Way Out West and Wacky. And it's going to become a fun book that kids can color, they can fill in the blanks, they can do crossword puzzles. It's going to be fantastic. But don't do just one format, because there's still the old-fashioned book, and it's so nice to have a book in your hand. And I'm not ready to give that up, and I hope the public isn't either.
I have a question for you. What if you have an author who's a great writer, but they don't want to do they just want to sit in their basement and write. They don't want to do any meetings. They don't want to do any social media. What do you have to say to them, and can they be successful? Do they just need help?
Well, they need help in terms of being as successful. I think they are limiting themselves. And we do have authors who come to us with exactly what you're mentioning. But I try to encourage them. If they're not comfortable doing radio interviews or TV interviews, then there are media coaches, okay? And you practice and work with them. But if you really, it's against your grain to do that, there are things that we can do to market and promote, but it limits their visibility, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Well, as an author as well, looking back from your first book that you published to the most recent one, is there one key thing that you can give as advice to authors who are about to enter the same phase?
Find that professional team and listen to them. It doesn't mean you have to take every single word of advice, but there's a certain amount of listening to your gut, but you need to listen to the advice of experience. Someone recently said to me, if you want to, if your car's having problems, would you take it to Walgreens to get it fixed, to a drugstore? No, you would take it to someone who knows about cars. If you're looking to do a book, get professional advice, get a coach, get a consultant, join author and or publishers associations. They're there to help as well.
So it seems like you say the biggest mistakes are title, cover design, and then I'm guessing just edited copy.
And if you're going to add another one, and I would, is marketing. I think you first need to think about your market before you write your book. If you're doing a book because you want to sell books, you first need to think about your market. And is having books on the same subject is a healthy sign. Then research it on Amazon and see how they're selling. But if you do your book just because you think you've got this great idea and it would be a great book, do some market research before you do your book. Then do your book for your market.
I see. I know it's good advice. Sometimes we hate hearing that, I guess, because we want as writers just to write from the soul, no matter what the audience is. But you're right. If you want to sell, you have to know who's out there.
But you could still write from your soul. Just know who wants to read the material first, and then write from your soul.
Yeah, you're right. Well, tell us where people can look you up. I'll link it down below the interview and everything, but where should they go?
Thank you. They can go to 5starpublications.com, and 5 is spelled out, and 5starpublications.com will lead them to authorsandexperts.com, schoolbookings.com. They can learn about partnership publishing and self-publishing. They can learn about our workshops, and if they have any questions, they're more than welcome to call me, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
And I guess I forgot this one. Are you working on any books in the future? I know you've written a bunch in the past already, but...
To be honest with you, my focus is on our authors' books.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the most incredible books coming out this year. I mean it. I am very proud of everything we've done, but wait until you see what we have coming out now.
Well, I'm excited to see it. I'm sure our audience is too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.